Welcome, everyone. My name is Tristan, and Ryan is on as well to help run the meeting. The topic today is setting up site information for the Bantam Plus and RW-3X. We have a large group, so please remain muted. I will hold a Q&A at the end of the presentation, at which time I will read questions from chat and call on people who indicate that they have a question. With that, let's get started. A brief overview of what we'll be discussing today is we'll begin with what the benefits are of using sites, and then we'll dive into the software side where we will create a site and edit its information, as well as create circuits for it, create meters, CTs, PTs, and transducers. And then we will also, once we have a site created, look into how to load that information and unload it. So first off, why are sites beneficial? Sites help keep data organized and easier to navigate through. Rather than having all of your meters and all your CTs, PTs, and transducer test results to sort through, you can associate all of the meters, CTs, PTs, and transducers that you run at a site to one location. This means that instead of sorting through everything, you can go to a site and have all your information right there. This also allows historical testing data to be easier to access. When you access a site, you'll be able to view the testing data from each meter or any piece of equipment, which means that you can see when it was last tested as well as where it was last tested. Also, by using sites, you'll have the ability to run site reports, which means instead of picking out each piece of equipment independently, you will be able to run a site report and run all of those reports together in one. With that, let's move over to the software. So today we'll be looking at Windward Embedded. This is the software that's used on both the RW as well as the Bantam Plus. So I'm not actually on one of the units today, but this is an emulator on my computer. This emulator isn't perfect, so if any errors do come up that are a result because of the emulator, I'll let you know. So to start off from the main menu, we will go into Site Information. And then we will be prompted with a few different options to select from. First, we will start off in Edit Site Info. This screen will allow us to either load a pre-existing site to edit or create a new one. To begin, we will go ahead and create a new site. So first, we will navigate over to the right and click this Add button. Upon doing so, we will be prompted for a site name as well as any circuits we want to include. So if we start off with the site name, we can click inside the white box. And then we will be asked to enter our site. So for this one, we will do example site 1. And we say OK to confirm the name. And then next we can create our circuits. Circuits are an easy and convenient way to group all of your equipment together. This is so that if you go to a site that has multiple testing stations that you need to go to, you can create a circuit for each station to group together the CTs, the meters, PTs, transducers that are at each of those individual areas. So for this circuit, we will click inside the box, and we can name it Area 1. And say OK. And then if this site has two different areas, you can create a second circuit by clicking Add, and then selecting inside the white box, and then entering in our second one. For this one, I'm going to do Area 2. Once again, select OK to confirm the name. Now we have two different areas inside of our one site. Now once I click Save, it will allow me to enter in more information about the site, like the address, the city, state, zip code, country, and so on. Once I've entered all my information that I need to here, I can go up to this Save over here on the top right and save any changes that I made. Next, we will move from site to circuit. This allows me to select what circuit I want to edit. So right now I have area 2 selected, so I'm able to enter in any of the GPS longitude and latitude coordinates I want to, as well as any of the service, wire, or CT information I would like to add. By changing from area 2 to area 1, this information, any information that I associate here will be associated with this circuit, as well as any meters, CTs, PTs, or transducers I create will only be associated with the circuit that I have selected here, which we'll go over later. So once I've entered all the information I need here, I can click the same Save button, and it'll save any changes that I've made. Moving on, we will go into Meter, and this is where we can enter in any meters that are going to be at area 1. So we can use the same Add button that we've used previously. Now we will be prompted for a meter number. For this meter, I'll do meter 1, 2, 3. And select OK. And now we have our first meter. If I want to add a second meter, I can click Add. It'll prompt me for another meter number. So I'll do 456. Say OK. And that's going to ask me if I want to copy meter values from 1, 2, 3 into 4, 5, 6. This way, if you're testing multiple 2S meters, multiple 9S meters, anything where a lot of the values are going to carry over, you can say yes, and it'll copy anything within the serial number, AMI ID, manufacturer, class, model. We'll copy that over by selecting yes, and I'll demonstrate this once we get into CT how it copies this information over. But for right now, we can see that we have meters 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6 to choose from. From here, I can click Save to save our meters. And now I want to show if we go back to our circuits, we can see we create these meters in area 1. If I switch this to area 2, meters 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6 won't be available to edit because they're associated with area 1. Now, by selecting meter, we can see we don't have any meters here. So I can go back, select that, and enter in some new meters. Let's do 654. Say OK. And we have meters 654 and only 654. We'll save this change. And now by going back to circuit and going back to area 1, we can see that meter 654 is not here because 654 is associated with area 2. Moving on, we have our CTs. To create a new CT, we'll use the Add button over here. Then we will be prompted for a CT serial number. So for this, I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Say OK. And now we are able to edit CT information. So let's say I have a CT ratio of 200 to 5. Now if I come over to add a second CT to this site, it's going to ask me if I want to save my changes. So if I select yes, it'll save the 200 to 5 ratio I associate with serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll say yes. And now we will be prompted for another CT serial number. From here, I'll go ahead and do 654-321 and say OK. Now here it's going to ask me if I want to copy all the values I've associated with serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over to this new CT. So by selecting yes, we'll see that this 200 to 5 ratio will copy over into this new meter. If I select no, then this will be a completely blank slate, like when we first created our first CT. We want to say yes. We'll see this serial number now has the same values as the previous CT. Once I've made all my changes, I can select save them, and then we can move on to PTs. To create a new PT, it's just like creating a new meter or CT. And come over to add. We'll be prompted to add the PT serial number. This one I'll do 78997. Say OK. And all this information will be available to edit. I wanted to do, let's say, model number 12. Say OK. Now we see that we have a model number associated with this serial number. And by creating another PT, it's going to ask me if I want to save my changes. I'll say yes. Say 23. Okay. Now I have another new PT. Moving on, we have transducer. Now, although this setup looks a little different, creating a new transducer is just like creating a new meter, CT, or PT. We'll use this add button over here to the right. We'll be prompted for a transducer serial number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Say OK. And now I'm able to edit the manufacturer, test sequence, model, type, scale, and output numbers or values. Once I've made all the changes I need to, I can click Save. And all those changes will be saved. Now, if I wanted to, let's say I was done with example site 1 and I wanted to load a new site, I can click Load. And then I can select whatever other site I want to load. If I wanted, let's say, to load demo site 1, I can select demo site 1, say OK. And now it's going to load this site. Now, if I no longer needed this site, I could click Delete. I wanted to prompt me to ensure that I want to delete demo site 1 along with any equipment and tests associated with it. So say yes. You'll no longer have that site available. Moving on, we will close out this window and move into how to load site info. Loading site information can be very beneficial because if you're at a site and you're testing specific meters, any of those meters associated with that site will now be loaded into this database, and any test that you do will be associated with those meters, or those CTs, those PTs, or transducers. So if I click Load Site Info, we can search by the site name, the equipment number, or the site address. For this example, we'll do site name and click Search. And then let's select our site that we had just created, our example site 1. Now by selecting OK, we'll now be prompted with which circuit we want to load. So if we load circuit 2, then we will be able to associate all of our meter tests with meter 654. If I switch over to area 1, any meter tests that we'll do will be associated with meter 1, 2, 3. Or if I need them to be associated with 4, 5, 6, I can select that as well. And then any CT or PT or transducer tests I do will be assigned to these numbers. Once I have all the equipment selected that I need to, I can select OK. And then the software will prompt me that example site 1 information has been loaded into the system. Now, if I finish at the site and I need to load a new one, I can then unload the site info here. It will prompt me that the information has been unloaded. I can say OK. Now I can go back to load site info, search by site name, equipment number, site address. Reselect the site that we're at. And then I can change from how we were in Area 1 and change it to Area 2. And then that way I'm only testing, all my tests are associated only with the equipment in Area 2. If I select OK, it tells me that all the information for this site has been loaded into the system. Now, once I finish testing at these sites, I'm able to create reports. I can do a site report or a simple site report. We have another webinar that goes a bit more in detail over both these options, as well as what their differences are. So then if you're looking for more information about it, you can find that there. These webinars, the webinar that includes this information is included on our website. Lastly, we have site test listing. By selecting this option, we are given a window that pulls up all of our sites, as well as their test status. This is very handy because if you are doing annual tests or monthly tests out at certain sites, you can see when they were last tested. So if I'm out doing my annual tests and I see that this site 2.11 was last tested in December of 2018, then I know it's time to go back it's time to go back out and test it again. So what I can also do from here is I can load the site information. So if I check my site test listing and I say I need to test this site, I can select it, select OK. Now it's going to take me into the load site information tab that we were looking at earlier. So for this one, we can see that we have two different circuits. So if I need to be at feeder 1, I can select that, select all the proper equipment that I need, select OK. And that site information will then be loaded into the system. Due to the COVID pandemic, this year's WeMeet has been rescheduled for September 15th, 16th, and 17th. The event will be held at our Lafayette, Indiana facility. If you're unfamiliar with WeMeet, WeMeet is a premier user event where Radian customers can gain product and application knowledge. This includes being able to see the latest hardware and software advances, receive invaluable hands-on training, as well as directly engage with the Radian community of support staff, sales representatives, and customers. If you're interested, you can register today at radianresearch.com. At this time, I'd like to begin taking questions. To avoid talking over one another, please use the chat feature to pose your question or ask to be called on. I will read questions submitted in chat or call on you to ask a question out loud. All right, we'll wait about another 15 seconds to make sure that no one has any questions. All right, from Terry, we have how many circuits per site? Hey, Ryan, do you know what the circuit cap is for a specific site? So right now we're not sure what the limit is for how many circuits per site. All right, let's wait about 15 seconds for any additional questions. All right, thank you all for attending. If you think of any questions, email technical support at technicalsupport@radianresearch.com or call 765-449-5576. You can also visit our website at radianresearch.com. We enjoy being your solutions partner and look forward to working with you. I hope you have a great day, and we hope to see you at the next presentation. Thank you.